All right, I'm going to show you how to process a pineapple in a couple different ways. I had some requests on how do you process this in a very efficient way, and this is kind of a way that we've done this in hotels. Usually you'll break down cases of these at a time, so you want to be really efficient with how you're using these. So I love the pineapple. It is a symbol of hospitality among other things, and there's a lot of fun things you can do with it. The one thing I also want to engage you with is when you look at a pineapple, I ask the students a lot of, what do you see? And a lot of the first 10 students will say, I see a pineapple. And then around between 10 and 15, I'll have a student that says, I see a salsa. I see a cake. I see a gelato. So oftentimes I'll use this as an example of how chefs in the kitchen, we look at things not so much as what they are, but what they can be. So I wanted to also just reach out to you with that kind of notion as well. When you look at things, look at them not for where they are, but the potential in them. And look at your ingredients like that, as well as the people who you work with. Oftentimes we look at people as where they are, what their baggage they're bringing, but as a leader you want to look into them, you want to speak into them and look at what do you see the best in them and draw that out in them. So that's just a little something for you to learn about in leadership. But I'm going to show you how to process this. So I always consider this having a north end and then a south end. So what I'm going to do, I've washed this pineapple, so therefore I can utilize everything around there. So I'm going to just cut down the pineapple, take the top off, and you can use this as garnish, some people do. And I'm going to spin it around and cut the bottom end off. Okay. And then from here I'm going to stand it straight up and down, and I'm going to peel it going around the pineapple this way. I'm going to do a slight curve because there's a slight curve on the pineapple. So here I'm not going to go, you'll see a lot of people cutting really thin here, and then you'll see all the eyes of the pineapple on there, and then they'll go back and really core those out or cut little lines down the middle. But if you think about it, you're spending $1 of labor to save a nickel worth of product. So in the kitchen, that's another concept we always want to be keeping in mind is how much time are we spending versus the value we're getting out of it. So I'm not just trying to teach you how to process a pineapple, but a lot of like the thinking in the kitchen as well. So I'm actually going to cut a little bit deeper and remove all those eyes. And I'm always looking right here where the blade can cut down. I'm watching to make sure I remove all the eyes so there's no eyes here. Right? And then here. So here, what you can do, if you do have some product still on here, you can steep this in a simple syrup and extract more of the essential oils to make a pineapple simple syrup that maybe you can send to the pastry shop or the bar or make something else out of it. So we'll save those, and this I will all steep in some simple syrup, which is equal parts sugar and water by volume. So a cup of sugar, a cup of water, gallon of sugar, gallon of water, and then you'll steep some of the pineapple skins with some of the meat on there and pull out all those essential oils to make a pineapple simple syrup. I imagine you could think of some really fun things you can do with that. So then what we're left with is this centerpiece, and I'm going to treat this in two ways because down the center you'll see a core, and it's pretty tough. It's very fibrous and not often used in a setting to serve a pineapple. So I'm going to cut straight down the middle now, and I'm going to treat this. I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. So one of the ways is to go and cut straight down the middle here, like this, okay, and then just cut the core out like that. So here's the core, but you can it's very tough and fibrous, and you can actually steep that in with your simple syrup if you'd like to. So then I'll do that to this side, cutting the core out, and I'm just cutting at an angle where I can remove that core. Okay, so there's the core, and what you're left with is considered like the supreme or the beautiful part of the meat of the pineapple, and you can simply take that and cut it up however you like. You can either do slices this way, you can cut it down a few times this way. I like to have it nice thicker chunks, so I might cut it once or twice down the middle, and then come down and cut this way. If you're dicing, and you can vary the thickness. So there's one way you can do it. So you have diced pineapple. Okay. Another way you can do it if you're looking for something a little bit more trimmed is if the skin is on this side, you can actually take it, and so let's imagine that the skin is still on here. Okay. You can take this and actually cut all the way around this way down to the top. Then you would flip it over and work your way all the way around here with the skin still on there. And this I would again use for either a smoothie or something like that. But the purpose of trying it that way is you're getting this nice rounded shape on the surface versus the angular cuts. So if the skin was still on there and I hadn't peeled it off this way, I could cut it in half and then just do a cut all the way around like this. And then it gives it that nice smooth look. It makes it look a little bit more refined. So then again, I'd cut it down the middle, cut the core out. And then you can cut it in thirds if you want to, or half, depending how big you want to cut it. Line them up. And when I cut, I'm trying to look on the knife holding hand of the blade. I'm not looking on this side, I'm looking on this side to ensure that it's the right size. And remember, a knife is more of a saw and less of a hatchet. You're not just pushing down, you're trying to use the teeth of the blade to cut through the product. That'll ensure that you're minimizing the breaking of any of the cells as possible, minimizing that. Okay, so that is one of the requests we had, how to process a pineapple, and this is how to process it into dice. If you wanted to do the nice rings, you would still peel the pineapple the same way, and then they actually have a pineapple core device that you can kind of move down, just like an apple core. It'll remove the middle, and then you can slice rings out of it if you want to have that shape. All right, well, happy dicing.